return again. This captivity ain't permanent, no. I'm from Jerusalem, hey, we'll return again. This captivity ain't permanent, no. Sitting on an album that'll change my life. Should I?
Salama family, how y'all doing tonight? Pray everyone is doing well.
Salama.
So, wait, am I in there good?
I think you're good.
You know, look, we've been in Africa so long, the melanin's popping, so I'm looking real dark in the screen. But anyway, look, how y'all doing tonight, man? We are so thankful to have y'all with us. Listen, it is going to be a good one tonight. We got our sister Kenya from Sierra Leone. She's also part of the Gullah Nation. She's going to be sharing some information with us about what the diaspora is doing in Sierra Leone. They're working with the government over there. The doors have been open to us, and she's going to break it down for us tonight. So y'all, look, it's going to be a good one. We're going to go ahead and bring our sister in. Sister Kenya, say hello to everybody.
Greetings, everyone. Thanks for having me.
Yes.
No problem. Thank you for coming on here and sharing with us. What we've been doing, we've been trying to definitely spread this information about places for our people to repatriate to.
Yes.
Because like we all know, America just ain't the place to be right now. So I don't want to say right now. It just ain't the place for us.
Right.
Okay?
Time for us to come home.
Exactly.
So
we didn't opt out to go there. We were taken there by force. So our situation is peculiar, you know.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
So if you would just go ahead, tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, where you were born. I'll say that.
And then you can tell everybody where you are exactly now.
Right.
So my name is Kenyva Malinke Mansaray. I was born and raised in Chicago up until my teen years. I moved to Milwaukee, stayed there for 20 years before I actually repatriated here to Sierra Leone in 2015. So yeah, I'm from Chicago, raised teens into adulthood in Milwaukee, and then here.
Okay. So you've been in Sierra Leone for quite some time. I mean, because most of us, we just got on board.
Yes. Oh, yes. Moving to Africa has always been a dream of mine. You know, my name in itself is an African-inspired name. So I've always known that Black people were from Africa. My name is African and things like that. And so I always wanted to come here. I'm pretty sure a lot of people who has come here or visited always had that feeling, that same feeling of us being called back home. So yes, I'm just excited to be here today and excited to be here with you guys.
Okay. Thank you so much. So, got a question for you. 7 years ago, how was Sierra Leone when you first got there? Because I know, you know, things changed very quickly. How was it back then?
So when I first came here to Sierra Leone, it was totally different. First and foremost, I lived on a different side of town. So I'm here towards the like touristy side, the western side. This is the more developed side. The side I was on previously was the East Coast. And they call that like the village because a lot of the people that migrate from the province area settle there. So it's a newer development. So dirt roads, you know, dirt, small roads. Now the road has expanded. You know, we got 2, 3 like a highway. You know, so the infrastructure has changed. Of course, a lot of the diaspora is coming back. We had a lot of our Sierra Leonean brothers and sisters, you know, coming in and visiting, but a lot more, you know, African diaspora, you know, born and raised in America or descendants of enslaved people. We here. We here now.
That's very cool, and it is encouraging, even more so for myself, because we live in what I don't really consider it a village, but they consider where we live right now a village. So I understand about those little tiny dirt roads, because we live on one.
Yeah, because you know it's raining right now outside, so we already know in the morning it's gonna be muddy.
Right. Right. You got to look for your shoes getting dirty.
That's true.
So how did you end up being in Sierra Leone? Did you know somebody there, or you just chose a place that you wanted to go visit? How did that happen?
So I'm of course a Pan-African, Garveyite to be exact. So I used to be involved in radio and media. That's my professional background. I served as an executive producer for an all-black radio network for about 3.5 years. So I met my husband actually at that time. I did an interview with him. He actually was part of an organization here in Sierra Leone, well, international organization that had various members in different parts of the world. And one location they had was Sierra Leone. So him being a Gullah person, understanding the history of Sierra Leone as it relates to South Carolina and Gullah people, he was attracted to what they were doing here and was the international coordinator, international organizer there. So he had a lot of hands-on work with helping with the people here. In 2012, they ran for independent, office, members of parliament and things like that as Pan-Africans, and he supported them in their run for office. And during that time, he toured them. The leader of the organization had been to America various times and things like that. So they've met, a lot of times before. And he called him over to do a tour from one part of the U.S. to the next part of the U.S. During that time, he actually invited him over to help and assist in, community organizing training and things like that. So he came here on an invite. And that was 2012. And he finally repatriated 2013. So that's my connection to Sierra Leone. It's through my husband. From there, when I met him, his work was dynamic. The work that they were doing was dynamic. I became a member of the organization, and I served as the executive secretary from joining up until I actually repatriated.
Gotcha.
Okay, so my husband, his father is Geechee. His that whole side is Geechee. I've been around them. I don't quite understand them. Because when I first met the Geechee people, I'm like, are they from the islands? Like, I know this is not a Jamaican accent. I couldn't quite put my finger on, like, where y'all from? Because I had never heard the accent before. So I'm still learning about the Geechee people. I've heard some things from his aunt.
Carly, yeah.
Yeah, you want to?
Yeah, so my Aunt Carly, like I had spoke with you before about, she's with the Gullah Geechee Nation and the Gullah Geechee Angel Network out of South Carolina in the Charleston area with Queen Quet. And so she was excited when I told her I was going to have you on because she said she's heard of you. So she was like, that's cool that she's going to be on, because, anytime the Geechee people are represented, she gets excited. So.
Yeah. So I've heard a little bit about the connection between the Gullah Geechee people and Sierra Leone. So let me ask you this, because I know quite a few people now I've heard talking about, oh yeah, my family is Geechee, and everything. So are there a lot of diaspora reaching out to repatriate to Sierra Leone because of having that Geechee background?
Let me tell you, this is to tell you about my background. So, as I said, I was born and raised in Chicago. My family migrated from the South. Arkansas to be exact. I didn't know nothing about Geechee. I might have heard the name before. And, I just wasn't aware of this rich culture that they had until I met my husband. And so I would do things in his presence that he'll be like, you sure you ain't Geechee? The way you cut your food, there's things that we pass down through generation to generation that's just taught or memory, maybe from Africa. And I'm one of the people that was ignorant of my Geechee background. Until I did my genealogy, I did my DNA test. My grandmother did a DNA test for us. We started finding all kind of lost family that was separated during the transatlantic slave trade, or as you would call it, the not the local, or and they were taking our ancestors right across from like the westward expansion. So they were taking our ancestors from places like Georgia, South Carolina, and migrating over to like Tennessee, Mississippi. And one of my ancestors actually went from South Carolina, St. Helena Island. She was born there 1797, and taken over in her older years to Arkansas when the slave masters took our people over. So that's how my people got over to Arkansas. I didn't know that background until I did the research. So I was one that was ignorant of the Gullah Geechee people, and most of us have heritage with Gullah Geechee people, even if we don't know it. They say between 70 to 90% of us have a Geechee ancestor or a Sierra Leonean ancestor, because the root of the Gullah Geechee people is the Sierra Leonean seed. So I'll get into that later.
Okay. So I guess for myself, I have a lot to learn too. I'm not from South Carolina. I got a lot of family in South Carolina, but I'm from the South. My whole family's from the South. So that's interesting. I've never done my ancestral anything like that. All I know is that the stories we were told, our ancestors were slaves. My great grandfather, slave. But as of yet, I have not dug that deep. But I know my husband, he has a lot more information, being that his aunts, they're very much involved with the Gullah Geechee nation. So I would say this, how often are diaspora coming there to Sierra Leone right now?
Oh my God. Back when I came here in 2015, it was nobody. I'll just tell you that. Now that, a lot, and I'll tell you this, a lot of people was getting DNA tests long before the citizenship came on the table for the general public of people. Myself and my husband was the people that actually sat down initially to talk about extending, citizenship to people that the general public outside of Isaiah Washington. As you might know, he was the first to obtain citizenship through DNA. The president at that time said, he was, he was accompanying him in a UN conference in Washington, D.C. And he was like, you got that status? I'm going to go ahead and give you citizenship. No door was open for anyone. Nobody even came to talk about, presented to them like, hey, what about citizenship for the normal person? And I'll tell you this, he got his citizenship in 2011, but back in 1988, the president of Sierra Leone at that time, Joseph Momo, came to South Carolina State to visit us because he heard about the Gullah Geechee people. Our relationship with Sierra Leone is like three ways. They took us out to grow rice. We came back to found Freetown in 1792. And then the president came looking for us. And a lot of stuff happened in between that. But the president came looking for us. He was like, I heard y'all make red rice, we make jollof rice. I heard y'all talk Creole, we talk Creole. And so he came to see it for himself and could not believe the people that he was talking to and eating with had the same culture as him. So the first tie to Sierra Leone was through cultural heritage before DNA came about. So President Joseph Momo invited us back in 1989. He came back with Gullah Geechee people as well as Seminoles. If you know about the Seminoles down in Florida, they are our ancestors that fought, beat the U.S. twice in the war before they actually took Florida from them. Our ancestors were sovereign there, and a lot of them was running from South Carolina and Georgia and escaping in Florida for hundreds of years. So that has been a thing with them. So he came back with Gullah Geechee people and Seminole people. So from Florida, a lot of people down in Florida migrate between Georgia and South Carolina, and a lot of people say they have family in those places as well. If you don't know your genealogy and don't know your family history, you might be Gullah Geechee like myself, and it's nothing wrong with that. I'll say this: a lot of us come under the banner of African American, and a lot of people can be African American. People can get their citizenship and be a dual citizen of different countries and be African American as well. That's just how it is. It's an umbrella term. But Gullah Geechee people, we have a direct connection to, we're African first and foremost. We're African people that was taken to America and became a totally different place of people here in America, and came back with that same culture and founded Freetown, Sierra Leone.
Gotcha. Wow. That's some good information, because I didn't know that about the Seminoles at all. So that's real interesting. I have to do some research on that.
Listen, we have a shirt on our website that says "The Gullah Wars freed our ancestors." It was the Gullah Wars that they were fighting against America that freed our ancestors. That shook up America for years. So a lot of people don't really get into that history, but it's deep when you understand it.
Gotcha. Yeah. That is wow.
I know a lot of people are gonna watch this and they're gonna say, "Well, let me go check," because I got a cousin, I got an auntie down in Florida, right. I got a cousin down in Georgia, down in South Carolina.
They've been telling me that we was Indians, so hey, something to look into, to check out. I definitely want to do some research into that, because it's my first time hearing it. Like I said, I talked to his aunt, but she's a lot older. So, and she lives, well, obviously we in Africa now, but she was pretty far from us before. So, that's very interesting to hear about. So tell me a little bit about Sierra Leone. Like, how do you like it? How do you like Sierra Leone? Well, what's the atmosphere like there?
I love Sierra Leone. I always tell people, it's very familiar. A lot of people that we've toured people and had people visit us for years. I had some elder who've been to 30. This was her 31st African country to visit, and she was just like, "Man, this is. It feels like home. It feels like." Unlike any other country I've visited, and I've visited 30 plus countries now, and so to actually hear her, in addition to a lot of different people who've been to different African countries like Ghana, Gambia, Senegal, Nigeria, Tanzania, East Africa and other places, they always say the same thing. So I want to believe, because I have not been outside of Sierra Leone, that Sierra Leone has something very familiar to us, and I believe it's the culture, because as you know, South Carolina and Georgia had the majority population during our enslaved, when our ancestors were enslaved. After that, the Great Migration, those four, it was only 4 million, about 4 million, you know, down in the southern region, and then it was a small amount in the northern region. And to imagine our people just dispersing, you know, northward and westward, and you know, things like Midwest. We're the same people now. You know what I'm saying? We're the same people now. So I'm thinking that a lot of people was feel that the spirit here is familiar to them, and I believe it's ancestral.
Gotcha. That's interesting, because you know, Tanzania, this is our first African country. We plan on seeing all of the continent. We want to travel, you know. But that's very interesting, because that's something that you hear a lot of people say. Certain places they visit, they feel it feels familiar to them. Right. When they come, like I guess it's something that's just
it's embedded in our DNA.
It's in us, where when we come back, we're like, okay, it's still there. So that's cool. That's cool. We do plan on coming to Sierra Leone, especially because of my husband and his his background. We do plan on making a trip out that way to see it. That's on our list.
You know, I feel like the whole continent is ours, so I'm trying to have citizenship everywhere.
Yes.
Right? Just straight African citizenship. Right. No country, African citizenship. Right. So, okay, so cool. So let me ask you this, because I know a lot of diaspora have come to Sierra Leone and they are able to get citizenship. So about how many diaspora are receiving citizenship, and how often are they giving citizenship out there?
Okay, so the first time they actually granted citizenship for the general person was April 2019. It was around the year of the return was popping. We had been actually working with the government for like 3 years before. We started the process. We started the talks in 2016 and was working on some things with the, you know, the actual government or entity that's responsible for receiving us now. So from 2016 to 2019, it happened. From there, COVID happened. So everything was closed out at that time. So we had a group that came in November 2019, and they had to continue the process later time. But when COVID happened, the whole world shut down. We didn't get the next group in until this January 2021. So from there, so since then, the tallied up the number, it was 300, y'all. 300 DNA testing people that came here through African ancestry and got their citizenship. So we're at 300. We have a small fraction of that group who's actually, you know, repatriated. But they're coming all the time, y'all. And I'm so happy to see them and so happy to welcome them, because for a long time it was just me and my husband, really. You know, it was hard out here, y'all. It was hard out here. You know, here being the only representatives here on the ground.
Right. I can definitely understand that. That's something that my husband and I, we say a lot, like, man, we miss our tribe. Because it's different. It's our family out here, you know. No matter what people say, whether it's the African Americans that say, I don't know them people over there, I don't know nothing about Africa, so I ain't going, or ones who were fortunate enough to be born and raised here, that say, oh, you guys are not really African. We're African people, you know, whether you want to accept it or not. And sometimes, though, we still miss our tribe, something that's familiar to us.
Right.
You know, sometimes, a lot of times, we're glad that our tribe is away. But then there are times when we just miss us. But that's really cool that you have something very familiar over there.
Yes.
Yeah. So let me ask you a question. As you can see on the screen here, from the chat, Gregory and Charisma, they said, my mother-in-law would like to know if her ancestry shows Sierra Leone for her, would it count for her children and grandchildren as well?
To answer your question is yes. But I don't know if this has to do with the citizenship, because that's a different thing. A lot of us have autosomal DNA, which connects us to various different African countries. A lot of people have taken tests like 23andMe or Ancestry DNA and things like that. At this time, the government does not accept those tests. If you come back with your mtDNA pointing to a tribe here in Sierra Leone, or your Y chromosome DNA pointing, you can obtain citizenship. They have changed the criteria now. So if you yourself took that test and it came back, they gave you your certificate, you will have to go through a process. And that's, you know, we'll work with you when you're doing that. We have other people that does citizenship confirming tours and things like that. We can refer you to them. But if you're talking about the regular like ancestry test, they're still part of you and they still count. But for citizenship, there's different criteria. They're only taking the ancestry test. And if you're trying to get citizenship, you have to take your own independent test as well. So you can't take, you know, the results of a person that took the test in order to get citizenship. Yes, you're still Mende. Yes, you're still Timni or Limba. But in order to get citizenship, you have to go ahead and, you know, take your own test and get your own certificate to do that.
Okay. Now, I have a question myself before I go to just off topic, well, on topic, because you just brought up citizenship and having to do your own test. If there's a husband and wife and one does the test and it comes back pointing to one of the tribes there and they're granted citizenship, does the spouse get citizenship? So both have, okay, so both people have to point back.
Not being in there, you probably will have to get it like they have a way for you to get your citizenship here. It's not immediately. You know, you can get, say for instance, they have a residency status. It's called you know, housewife status or house, you know, your mate status. And that will hold you up and, you know, during the process of actually obtaining citizenship. So it's not immediate. I have seen husbands and wife couples come here and test the same and get their citizenship at the same time. And that's amazing. That just goes to show you how many of our ancestors they were taken from here to America. You understand? We have couples. I have 2 couples here that just repatriated within the last 6 months. They both got their citizenship. And shout out to Pamela Hood. Greetings, Queen. Thanks for joining me. She got her citizenship back in, I believe, 2021, I want to say.
Okay.
That's, yes, congratulations, all of you who have gotten your citizenship, because
that's the goal for all of us.
We striving over here, you know, to get citizenship. But it's very cool that they're actually finding a way to open up the door to the diaspora to get citizenship. That is our desire for all of our land, the countries to be able to find a way. If you can't do it one way, for whatever reason, to find a way to open up the doors to the diaspora being able to come back and receive their citizenship. Because I know for a lot of the diaspora, we just want to be home, come home, and be able to build a home for ourselves here, back on the continent, the land where we were taken from. And it's one of those things where you look all around the world and everybody has a place to go, right? Every culture in America, everywhere, all around the world, you got, if you're Chinese, if you're Russian, German, whatever, they have a place to go, Hispanic. Yeah. But the African Americans, who are African people taken from the continent of Africa, it seems like it's a challenge for the countries to be able to open the country back up to us. And I know that it's going to happen, you know, soon. I know it will. I have no doubt. But that is the one thing our people crave to have, to be back on the continent and
to be accepted
by the government, for the government to be the one to open the doors and say, you can abode here, you know, you can build a life here.
Look, I just want to say this, African Queen, you are so right about that. The east side of Africa needs to join in on this.
My goodness.
Because the west side, they opening the doors to the people, like, come on home. Look, we over here in Tanzania trying to get them on board. We working on it. Y'all keep us in prayer. We working on it.
Yeah. So it's one of those things. It's such a, for me, it's a hard thing, or I could say it was a hard thing, and it's a challenge still now being in East Africa. You can get your residency, but it's one of those things you got to renew it every so many years, and it takes such a long time for you to get citizenship. And
there's been people that have been here because, you know, it's supposed to be in Tanzania, you know, after you've been here consecutively for 10 years, you can apply for citizenship. We know people that's been here for longer than that, and they still ain't got their citizenship yet.
So we're hoping that soon the east side will begin to see, especially as we see more things happening with the diaspora coming and building on the continent. A lot of the ways that they're improving as far as the countries economically, we really pray that eventually the east side will take note of that and will figure out a way to open up the country to the diaspora however they can. I understand countries in the east, you know, I hear things, we hear things just like you hear things, but we would say for you guys, be creative.
And when you guys are over at doing stuff with the UN for the, you know, the what is it, the African Union, please put in a good word for us over here on the east side.
So let me ask you this. When the diaspora comes to Sierra Leone, what are some of the things they should expect, and what are some of the challenges that they have with coming to Sierra Leone?
You should expect cool people, nice people, great food, lots of culture, and some of the challenges might be some of the language. Although this is an English-speaking country, majority of the people don't speak English as a first language. They might speak Creole. That's why I was asking brother if you knew Geechee. You probably can hear it, but I don't know if you can speak it. So it's similar to Creole, and Geechee is basically interchangeable. Creole is more African-based, of course, we're in Africa, and Geechee is more English-based. But my husband can hear it when he got here because his mom spoke it, his family spoke it, so he can follow the conversation, but he couldn't speak it. So the language, some of the way of, you know, differences between us. Some of our culture is like similar and a lot different. You know, we're more family oriented here. Of course, we love family and things like, but the family dynamic is I've never seen anything like this before. You know, when I first got here, it used to fascinate me because, as I said, I was on the side of town that they considered more of the village, and I would see some amazing conflict resolutions with the people there. They will hash it out. They will have a family meeting for 3-4 days until they get to a solution that was in the best interest of the family. You understand? And that's something that we don't have. You know, some of our elders are not, you know, up to par in some of the things in a way, you know, it's a lot of conflict within our, you know, I understand why, because of what happened to us, and we were stripped away from our foundation. But it's certain things that we can still learn from and understand how to implement amongst each other that will be a game changer for the Black family, especially in America, because we're the largest population outside of the, you know, Africa has the largest African population, of course, which is Nigeria. And then next would be Brazil. We're the third largest on the planet. So we have a role to play here. We're, you know, educated by them. We have the most resources. We have our GDP is more greater than Russia as a collective.
Right.
But we use our spending power to empower ourselves. We put it right back into the system. You understand?
Right.
So to understand who we are, first and foremost, to understand that we don't have to fight each other or tear each other down. You know, that's going on a lot around here as well. To come back and try to be a lending hand, to try to assist the people and help them organize and help us organize. We're social entrepreneurs. We try to help the, you know, common people organize, the communities organize to solve their own problems. A lot of the times, the problems that they're facing here can be solved amongst themselves, you know? So to understand, and I will say the same for us in America. So this is a mirror looking back at, you know, looking right in the mirror and looking back, and I can say the same thing. But the difference between us and America, the people here, they need it more dire, you know, because they're deprived. They, you know, here in this country, we have 3% of the people have internet. You know, sometimes you can get data on your phone, but to actually sit down at a computer and type, most of the young people have never put their hands on a keyboard. You know, so and our babies are growing up with tablets and iPhones and, you know, playing games, and they're already exposed to technology. But people here are, you know, they're behind. And that's by design, of course. You know, so we need more assistance with a place like here. Here, Sierra Leone is one of the richest countries in the world. But as far as, you know, being poor, we're more poor than Haiti here.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? Wow. So to understand, it's all by design. Sierra Leone used to once be known as the breadbasket of Africa because of the agriculture here. They stole our ancestors for agriculture and took the wealth that they got off of the rice production in America to build the American empire. Our ancestors are the X factor when you understand the relationship between Sierra Leone and America. We were right in the center, and they played games with us on both sides. So to understand like who the Gullah people are, and then to understand a lot of the people that's coming back to get ancestry, getting, you know, DNA testing and coming back here, a lot of times they're Gullah even if they don't know it. And a lot of times, even if they're Caribbean, a lot of times they have connection to the Geechee people. I just was talking to a sister earlier today from Jamaica. Beautiful accent. She came here. She came back to the Mende and Timney people and got her citizenship here 2 months ago, November.
She's in the chat right now.
What's up, sis? What's up, sis? So she was saying too that she know that, you know, Jamaican people have that same connection to the Gullah people. And I was telling her too that my husband, you know, has an ancestor that's from Jamaica as well. So we all one. Like we're making differences and splitting ourselves up and things like that, but it don't make no sense to me, especially when you understand who we are. You know what I'm saying? Who we are and where we've been and where they migrated us to. They took us to many different places. So I hate to see our people in its ignorance. I understand it, but once you know better, you do better. You know, once you know better, you do better. And so I understand where it comes from. You know, I have not always known what I've known as I do today. You know, it takes some dedication, to some open-mindedness, and to just get out there and meet other people and understand how you connect.
Right. Because we all fit together somewhere down the line.
Yeah, we do. Listen, 6 degrees of separation is real.
Yes.
I listen. I used to hear when I was young, but as I understand what it is now, this world is so small. This world is so small, especially with technology.
Yes. But you know what you were saying about how they do conflict resolution there. That's really amazing because, you know, a lot of times we look at, we're from, I don't want to say us, but we see this amongst our people. We're from America, so sometimes they can feel like coming over to Africa and they see that, like what you said, when it comes down to technology, they can be behind. Yes, we were educated. Most of us have been to university. If not, we have some sort of trade. Some sort of skill we've had opportunity in America, not because they wanted us to get ahead, but because those opportunities allow us to make more money for them. But
absolutely.
But those things like learning conflict resolution, those are things that we need to look at. How our people here on the continent are able to do things like that. And I know, sometimes you have tribal wars and different things like that, but there's a lot of things that our people can still teach us here on the continent, being that conflict resolution. Absolutely. And so that's amazing. That's really amazing. And I mean, it would be great for sometimes our people to be able to really sit down and talk and like, how do I hash it out? Because our people, y'all want to fight over video games and
we fighting over shoes. I got the new Air Force Ones. I need you to come up off them.
It's that those interpersonal skills that we lack amongst the family unit has been blown into smithereens in America. We're only looking at family as our household or our cousins that we know. You know what I'm saying? I've taken a DNA test recently, and it connected me to almost 10,000 relatives that I don't know. So those are family relatives. You know what I'm saying? So to know that my branch is that big, my cousin network is that big. Here in Africa, of course, your cousin network isn't the same as ours, and to have those interpersonal skills and that family love and unit, and I'll tell you this, we're, as I said before, we're Pan-Africanists, and we're always trying to unite with our people. We're always trying to patronize our people business as we can. You know what I'm saying? First and foremost. But some people just ain't built like that. Some people just is different. Some people is of a different class, a different moral and value code. I'm from Chicago, but we're very close knit if you see how the family, and I believe that might be attributed to the migrant households. You know, so a lot of times when you're migrating, you're coming up probably with your aunts and uncles and your family, and you're very tight, you know. But there's few in between now, and it's amazing to see how they are able to, even if it take a week, even if family has to come and travel 5 hours down to sit with the family that's having a problem to get it right at the end. I've seen husband and wife yell scream right in my front yard. I think I have photos of it because I wrote about it when I first came here. And they were out in that yard for 3-4 days until the family all left and they were settled. They had their plan together. They had it together. And we're the ones that this is my man, it's my business and things like that. And only hearing one side of the story. You're not hearing the second side of the story. So you only get one side that you're weighing everything on. The family, they come and hear both sides. Right. And make a decision that's the best for the family unit.
That's amazing. I love it.
Yeah, because we recently did a show on our channel about can we unite? You know, because one of the biggest things in America, as you know, through the Willie Lynch letters, all those different things that they put out there was how to keep us divided, you know. And so now when you come here, even here on the east side, we see the family structure, how it's supposed to be, you know, especially like you said, when you first came, you was on the east side in the villages. We live in the village. You know, we've seen the tourist side of Tanzania, you know, but when you go to the village, you really get to see what life is like for our people and how things would have been for us concerning the family unit. You know, how the family works together, how everybody comes together and eats together. You know, there's not things we were taught. You know, everybody go sit and watch TV, go in a room and eat back in the U.S. But here, no, when it's time to eat, everybody come together and eat together. You know, but it's good to hear that, you know, the same thing that's we're seeing over here, you're seeing over there. And I was excited because there's so many of our people waking up and saying it's time to go home. You know, it doesn't matter where they're at in the US, the UK, South America, the islands, Asia, India, they're saying, no, I want to go home. And then when they get here, that the people, I can't always say the government, but the people are always accepting to us. The government's a little different sometimes.
Yeah.
And
and I love it. Go ahead.
I'll tell you that Sierra Leone is blessed because there's no time in history that this have happened with the African diaspora by allowing us to come and grant us our birthright, grant us the citizenship that we would have had we not left. You understand? So it's amazing to just be here to witness this. And as you said, the family unit, that's one thing I am absolutely envious of. You know, of course, family had their issues and their problems and things like that. But there is nowhere, you know, the same as ours. We're very individualistic in our thinking, and we understand that that's part of living there. You know what I'm saying? Had we been here, it's different. You know, even if they have issues amongst themselves, even if somebody takes something and run and they know they shouldn't have did it, that's they would be haunted. You understand? By how they feel. You know, I've known people that stole something from their family to in hopes to make it across to the West. You know, it haunted them. They will never tell you how they got there, you know, but I've met the people, I've read the stories, and family is important. You know, family network, when you have a strong family network, You don't even have to go outside your network. Everything is right there in your family. And that's power. So that's why we say, go ahead.
Right. And that's a clear message for Africa as a whole. When you have family, you don't have to go outside, you know, the family network. You have everything you need right there within your family. So, you know, that resonates right there for me. Let me ask you this. Because I know you say you guys have had over 300 people got citizenship. What do you think is a challenge? Why don't you think a lot of the people are staying there in Sierra Leone? You think they're just coming just because it's like a backup plan for them, or?
It could be a number of things. I've known some people that's repatriates and already have been settled in a different country in Africa, and learned that they had Sierra Leonean heritage and was able to get citizenship. Of course, those people probably will not uproot themselves from a place that they have already been living and building just to come here. Some people is just opportunists. I mean, if you can get the chance to actually get African citizenship, most likely people will take the chance. You know what I'm saying? And thirdly, I'll say there's a lot of people who's looking to come back to Africa. And if you're going to get citizenship, why not Sierra Leone? You know what I'm saying? And I'll say this too, because I heard you guys talking about how difficult it is to get citizenship like on the east coast of Africa. They know first and foremost, a lot of the African diaspora come from West Africa. That's where they took it. There's no denying that. A lot of us came from West Africa. Secondly, you know, a lot of our cultural norms will be more akin to West Africa too. I mean, Africa is Africa. A lot of the different cultures can go across, you know, across Africa, crossover, you know. But so I will say Sierra Leone, although they give you citizenship through DNA, if you're a resident here for 5 years only, once you get your business residency for 5 years, you're a person in the community. You know you're well liked. You have people that back you. By the 5th year, you can start applying for your Sierra Leone citizenship. So it's not a long process. You don't have to stay here year in and year out. You're allowed to hold residency here and gather your citizenship through that. You can live, you know, partial, 3 months, 6 months, and still conduct your business and live here. A lot of people go home during the rain season because it's about 5 months. It's heavy rains here. Sierra Leone has a rainforest. If you know the word Gullah, it derives from the word Gullah. If you hear the word Geechee, it derives from the word Gizzy. Those are 2 tribes in Sierra Leone that have most likely been absorbed into the Mende tribe. So a lot of people that come back as Mende, especially Mende, they probably have a Gullah or a Gizzy or a Vai ancestor. They were that place where our ancestors are from in the South was heavily raided for hundreds and hundreds of years. And even even after they closed the slave trade here, I will have to do a show on our ancestors that came back from America because they're amazing. If you understand the story, you would understand how proud you will be. You understand? But it's amazing what our ancestors was able to achieve. Because they came back, they stopped the transatlantic slave trade in 1808. Our ancestors came back in 1792, and it was them that was there to welcome the recaptive, the people that they were taken out on slave ships to go out into the Americas and things like that. They was capturing and being integrated into the population here. So our ancestors helped stop the slave trade. But as you know, illegal slave trading went on up until, if you look at the Matilda, the Collider, if you look at the, Wanderer, if you look up those names, those are slave ships that went into America almost up until the Civil War started.
Right.
The last came up to almost 1860. You understand? So they was still bringing our people in all that time illegally.
Yep.
You're from Florida. So they had a white man that was married to an African woman who was still accepting illegal slavery. He had a slave breaking plantation that he will make skilled people that had skills that carpentry and masonry and ironwork and all type of things, and sell them to other slavers, quote unquote. So This is deep. It didn't just start when they said it stopped, or it didn't just stop when they said it stopped.
Right.
Yeah, and today they're using education to still bring our people from here to the US, to the UK. They tell them, oh, we can put you in a school because they put America on this pedestal and put these other countries on this pedestal. And they say, don't stay in Africa and build in your own country. Come to our country. It's still a type of slavery going on because they make sure that the African countries stay poor so that they can get their people to come over there. So they get the smartest ones from over here. Oh, come over here. We'll give you this, this, and this. And so, of course, mom and daddy, they want the best for their child, just like any parent. Yes, go over there. They're going to pay you, to go to school to do this over there. And then they lock them in and they keep them there where they can't come back to their own country and do stuff. Now I wanted to ask you, so you already made it clear that as far as the direct citizenship, your lineage has to trace back to one of the tribes there. Yes. Now, from there, so let's say I go and it doesn't trace back to one of the tribes there. So I say, you know what? I'm going to open a business. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to open up a technical school and teach people how to use computers, right? So what's the process in Sierra Leone for getting your business going? What is, a rough estimate of what something like that would cost to get in the time frame?
Well, if you're here on the ground, of course, it'll be much more easier process. A lot of times, if you're looking to just establish a business here, most times they want you to be a resident here, or partner with a person that's locally that can oversee and manage your operations. Because if you're not residents here, you have to be here on the ground to see the process through. That's first and foremost. If you're here on the ground, you can get you have to make sure you're hiring a lawyer to get your paperwork done for you. We have connections to that. We assist people with registering their businesses. And have an address and things like that. And that process can take less than a week, depending on.
Wow. Okay.
Less than a week. And just get your paperwork in order, hire your team, be sure you know what it is that you want. Even if you register the business, you always could come back and set that up. So it isn't hard. They encourage people to come and invest here in Sierra Leone.
Okay, so I know you say they want you to be a resident. So in Sierra Leone, do you obtain residency first before you apply?
Yes.
So how does that work, getting residency in Sierra Leone?
So you go to immigration. Immigration is the place that you will go and, let them know that you're here, your passport and things like that, and where you're going to be living here, because you have to be a resident here. If you're not going to be a resident here, a lot of times they're going to be like, what you trying to do? That's why I said, if you're not a resident here, you have to partner with a person that's going to be here on the ground to oversee the process. So that's a fairly simple Attaining a permanent residency, the last time, I haven't checked recently, but it was like $500 per year. And that will allow you to be here as a resident. You can do everything but buy land and vote. So those are two things that you can't get. Once you do get your citizenship, you can vote, you know. So but there's something that's called, and I believe that they have this in the majority of the countries. You can if you're not a resident, you can't if you're not a citizen, you can't freehold land. You can't freehold land as a non-citizen. Sometimes they'll let you rent, 25 years, 99. You probably heard like I forget this tire place. What's the number one tire place in America? They sell tires. I can't think of it.
You said tires or title?
Tires. Tire. Tires.
Oh, Goodyear.
Yes, Goodyear, exactly. They have a rubber plant in Liberia. That's actually the land that Marcus Garvey was supposed to buy, and they took it from him.
Oh, wow.
Goodyear for like 90, like a penny per year. So their 99th year is coming up soon. I believe on 2025 will be 99 years that they've held that land. In addition to the rubber plant, they got different minerals and things like that they have access to just because they rented that land. So just think about that. So
wow,
these people can rent a land for a vast amount of years. I don't think really they go by past 99, but if you're a resident here, I'm a citizen here, you can freehold land, forever for your family. Those are the only two hangups with a residency. Everything else, you're free. If up to 5 years, once you're 5 years, you can go ahead and apply.
Okay, well that's not bad to me because time flies.
Yes.
When you're over here.
Yes.
So that's good to know. So it's not a long drawn out process for you to actually get residency there. It's pretty straightforward, simple.
Yeah,
it's pretty cost effective.
Yes. Yes. It's not bad. Yeah, I know people that said that to get residency in different countries, maybe $2,000 a year or all these crazy prices. I'm like, wait, what?
Yeah.
So let me ask you this, because everybody that's looking at these different countries, the biggest question everybody always wants to know: what is, on average, the cost of living in Sierra Leone?
That's a good question. It depends on your standards. First and foremost, you can rent a place for $500 for a year if you can stand the conditions, or you can rent a place for $10,000 a year if you want, more accommodating features like those of us who are in, those of us who are, used to a certain way of living. So
gotcha.
Yeah, so the housing can be varied. The utilities, depending on what you got running and how much you're gonna put, your electricity and internet is very expensive here. We pay about $100 a month for our internet.
Same here.
We don't have the hotspot. A lot of times people have the little hotspot boxes. We have like the modem that will allow us to have better connection and allow us to, like, if our members are here, they want to connect to the internet and things like that. So that's the most. Food and, food, depending on if I'm cooking, say it's cheap. If I'm eating out, of course, it's going to be a little money. That's just how it is,
That's all over Africa.
Yeah. Right, especially with some American type food, you know, some pizza and stuff like that.
Right. So it's a lot of nice restaurants, different things like that out there in Sierra Leone for you to go to if you want.
I'm gonna make my own restaurant one day because they have a few, but it's not enough. You know, I know Ghana got like KFCs and Pizza Huts. I'm like, wait, what y'all got Pizza Hut? But I found a little spot that I used to get my little chicken from. They pizza, excuse me, their pizza tastes like Pizza Hut, like the what is it? The crust, the pan crust. I was like, they done messed up. But I'll say that they have some nice little restaurants here, but they don't have enough. It's a handful. It's not enough.
Gotcha. So I'm gonna ask you, I think this last question about things to do and everything out there, and then we're gonna move on to some other questions. What is there to do out there for the diaspora when they come? What sorts of entertainment exists out there?
Y'all got bowling alleys, pool halls.
Okay, so I don't really go out like that, y'all. You know, I'm more of a homebody. When I typically go out, it's mission oriented. Maybe, you know, I have to go to do something. I gotta go pay a bill, or I gotta go to an event or things like that. So I really don't know much about the nightlife. Right now, my husband is with a brother who just came from America, so he's been moving around a lot. So I'm like, what are you over there? But I'll tell you this, they do have a nice little, a few places. The nightlife scene is nice, especially by the beaches. You know, Sierra Leone is a coastal, well, Freetown is a coastal place. We're on a mountainous peninsula. So that's similar, because sis is from Florida. So you know how South Beach is. It's on a like peninsula. So it's that same thing, but we got Boku or Buku, you will say mountains. So we have mountains everywhere, and everywhere you look is water. When I go outside on a veranda or the balcony, as you would call it, I see right towards the Atlantic. I see with my naked eye, and that's the place that our ancestors was taken from. Bunce Island is 25 miles away from where I live. Wow. I can see the island with my eye. And that's the place that they took thousands and thousands of our ancestors from. So there's a beach life. We have some of the most beautiful beaches in the world. We have white sand, clear water beaches. We have black sand beaches. I had to even look that up because they said black sand beaches come from places that had volcanoes. So I'm assuming maybe 1,000 years ago, Sierra Leone had volcanoes. So we have black sand beaches. A lot of times you can only see those in Europe. So they got white sand beaches, black sand beaches. We have a rainforest. So we have a rainforest that has indigenous plants that only grow in rainforests. There's one plant that they have that if you take the plant one time, any opioid addiction you have will go away instantly.
Wow. Now, you know they don't want that getting out.
So this is the magical part of Africa. This is the intangible things that's in Africa that no person will ever even think about.
Wow, that's amazing. That's really amazing.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this: what types of projects are going on out there right now? Are the diaspora building out there? Are they? What projects are happening right now?
Well, there's a lot of different people that have different things going on here. A lot of it is more private and public. Maybe you'll have somebody doing a project you don't really even know about until you catch wind of it. So I'll just tell you that the real estate market is jumping right now. A lot of people, and another thing I forgot to mention when you asked me what's different than from, when I first got here, to the real estate. Oh my God, there's so many different places that every time I turn around, there's a new building or a new something coming up, and I love it, because it means that Sierra Leone is going in the right direction. So we get more, places and more businesses and more organizations and things like that. That means that the people are going to get what it is that they actually truly need.
Okay, that's cool. So that's good to hear, because that's one of the biggest things for us is, when we come back, to make sure that after we settle in, we give ourselves some time, that we actually do something. Right. I'm not saying if you're an older person and you're like, I'm 70 years old. I'm not saying for, them, but for younger folks, Africa is not for us to come over here and just twiddle our thumbs and just, live a lavish lifestyle. It's cool to be able to do things, but eventually, when the time is right, I'll say that for each individual person, we need to work. We need to do something. It's a lot that needs to be done here on the continent. So for us to be able to unite with our brothers and sisters here and to create businesses, create schools, like my husband was saying, educational areas, sectors, we need to be filling those areas. So it's good to hear that our people are actually building some things over there. So
yeah. I wanted to ask her about it. I know you are a part of the UNIA-ACL. So can you tell us a little bit about that?
Okay, so first and foremost, I didn't really introduce the actual organizations that I'm involved in the beginning, and I'll do that now since I have the opportunity. So, of course, I'm a Gullah Geechee, and I serve as the president of the Gullah Nation of North America, our location in America, and then our branch here locally in Sierra Leone. I am a Pan-Africanist, Garveyite, so I serve as the president of Repatriation Network International, also known as BSANI, that has branches here locally in America and membership across Africa, as well as Gambia, Nigeria, and the UK. And then I serve as the president of the UNIA-ACL Division here locally in Freetown, Sierra Leone. So we have had our division here of the UNIA, and if no one is familiar with UNIA-ACL, the founder of that organization is the Honorable Marcus Mosiah Garvey, that founded the organization in 1914 in Jamaica, and it spread like wildfire when he came to the United States and registered that branch in New York in 1916. It was the largest mass movement organization to ever be a part of the African liberation struggle. So I am the president there. And then we have several divisions in America, of course, as well as in Africa. So we just registered a Gambia division, Nigeria division. We have a division in Ghana that was there. Burkina Faso and Kenya. So, and of course, we have different branches across the Caribbean and things like that. So we're not as large as we once were, but the struggle continues.
Gotcha.
Okay. And so let me ask you this: with the group that you're a part of, what sorts of things do you offer for the diaspora when they come to Sierra Leone? What do you help the diaspora with?
Well, we do have, outside of organizing, we do have a business that we help people with that want to relocate back to, Sierra Leone. So we offer relocation services, temporary stay. We'll assist you with registering your business. If you want to actually, build something here or have a project here, we assist with project management. We have a brother that we've been working with since 2020. On his property, it's called ADV, African Diaspora Village. We assisted him with building, some structures there. He was was going to get his land taken. They were trying to take his land. And so we assisted him with that by, building what it is that the structures that he needed. So to stop people from encroaching on his land. So that brother, he was born he's Sierra Leonean, but he was born in New York. He in Atlanta right now. So we're partners with him doing project management, and that's an ongoing project. Now that the rain has ceased, we're gonna continue building it up.
Gotcha.
Okay, that's very cool. There's another guy we know. He's in Senegal.
Yeah, brother RJ Mahadi in Senegal.
Yes. So that's awesome that you guys are preparing those things for the diaspora to come there. You're assisting them when they're on the ground because it's needed.
We actually took his training. We're part of our organization, BSANI is part of the Exodus Alliance. So that alliance, he trained maybe about 10 of us repatriates and the relocation services. It was already something we were doing already, but we had a official training through him as well. So shout out to brother RJ Mahdi and his lovely queen sister Leah. Shout out to y'all. Again, I didn't mention that we do our own projects. We do agriculture. We do training for local people here. Last year, 2021, we were able to partner. I'm sorry, in 2020 we started working with a community that eventually adopted me as the first returnee. We formed a 100-acre farm. The food insecurity is very, very dire here, especially during COVID time. People were literally going hungry during COVID time. The movements were less. A lot of people wasn't working in America, and believe it or not, the West fund and take care a lot of the people here that's on the ground. So when things stop over there, they stop over here. So we were able to partner with them and make a 120-acre farm. To this day, from that farm, we're still yielding crops. We're recycling seeds, and it's becoming self-sustainable. It's becoming self-sustaining, and that's always the goal. Once we come in, you don't want to be dependent on help. So once you understand how we can get you started, make sure you get your pay for creating this farm that's going to be for you and your people. Make sure you divide the resources after cashing in the crops, a portion to your pay, a portion to more seeds, a portion to development. So it should be splitting 3 ways and coming back around so you guys can expand your farm. And you understand? So
yes.
So we always want to go in and teach the people just how to start their problem. Everybody know how to farm here, but a lot of times they don't have the tools, the seeds, or the resources to do to do something they already know how to do. A lot of times they're subsistence farming. So that means hand to mouth. Once you got a little garden in your backyard, once that's done in a month, you're hungry again.
Right.
So they're not doing it on large scale.
Exactly. Large enough scale. And they have the land. The land is vast. 70% of the land in Sierra Leone alone is not no one is living on the land.
Wow.
And let me say this, Fred, everyone who's watching, who's not here in Africa, please do not let that map fool you about the size of these countries, because these countries are huge.
Because I'm still trying to find out how, even in Tanzania here, it takes about 3 hours to fly across.
Right.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yes.
So yes, that's really great, because I know that's one of the big things that you're hearing the Economic Forum talk about here in Africa and the African Union is food security. Yeah, you got people, they have farms here, they grow their food, but that's something I didn't think about. If they don't have large enough food growing, then
Yes.
you can run out of that food.
Let me tell you this too. I was reading a study. My husband actually, he was reading a study because they asked him this question about, the agriculture here. And he learned that 85% of food that's grown in Africa leaves Africa. Only 15% of the food here is for the people and to trade amongst themselves. So that goes to show you Africa is starving because we feeding everybody else but ourselves.
Exactly.
That's why I'm sorry, I'm going to cut you off. I just want to say, I'm praying that the African Union continues to keep that talk up about shutting down, sending everything out of here. I mean, if they want this food from over here, they need to charge them out the nose for it, because they're making their own people starve for no reason, like you said, because that doesn't make any sense at all to have a population like Africa does to only leave 15% of your food here.
Right. And Africa is a world within itself. You have, yes, the European nations and everything, but Africa literally is a world within itself. So quite honestly, if Africa didn't want to, they came together, they didn't have to, you don't need them at all. We have enough resources and people we are a world.
They need Africa. No one.
Right. Africa don't need them.
Out Africa. They need Africa.
Yes.
So you're right. You're absolutely right. None of the technology we have right now, no cell phones, no batteries, no all of this, everything that's charging the world is comes from
here.
Right. So that's crazy. I had a question really quickly, because just going back to what we were talking about businesses. Now, I know in some of the African countries, they're requiring a minimum investment for you to open a business. Like Zimbabwe, they require you to show 250,000 USD.
Yes.
So
what? Wow.
Yes.
Oh,
don't knock your computer over.
So that was my question: is there a minimum? Okay.
Just that's register fees that it costs to get actually registered legally. You're fine. That's it. I never heard with 200. What? I mean, this is mining. What is it? What is they need that?
So a lot of this, what it comes from is a lot of countries are really getting the pressure put on them by the U.S. because there's so many of us leaving, and so and so they're giving their version of the African Americans to these African countries, and so they're telling them, we're going to come over here and do this, we're going to do that, cause all kind of trouble. And now, don't get me wrong, there are some of us that come over here and act a fool. Don't get me wrong. There are.
You ain't got to tell me twice. You do not have to tell me twice.
Yeah, but a lot of these African countries, they're feeling that pressure because, like you said, they're only keeping 15% here for themselves. And so it allows these outside nations to put pressure on them. And so they will do certain things to try to hold us back here. And that's one of the things that some of these countries are starting to implement to try to stop us, because let's just be honest, your average African American don't have 250 just sitting in a bank account.
Right. And then some of the countries,
the average
right. Some of the countries they say they're doing it because some of the other countries, the European and Asian nations, are coming up and buying thousands of acres of land, at one time. So I guess they up the price to try and deter them from doing it. But it's kind of like, to me, it doesn't make sense because they're the ones that have the money. So $250,000 for a lot of them is nothing.
Ain't
so
no
that's
problem.
not going to stop them.
They do something that we don't. They do cooperative economics. They'll put their money together and make sure they get that $250 so that they can go ahead and register their business and get money. But we don't.
Right.
We're a lot of times we're self-centered, individualistic, and we're not looking at the collective. We're coming back here competing amongst ourselves. It's crazy to me. It's crazy to me. And that's the problem. Listen, they're going to succeed. We're going to be the ones nibbling at our own ankles.
That's why we got to unite.
And not going nowhere. We're supposed to be setting this up for our children's children. As a people, we've been ripped away from this country. We've been ripped away from Africa for hundreds. Our ancestors cried and prayed and begged to come back home. And the way that some of us are coming back home.
Right.
Yeah, Mr. Sky said it earlier. We built every other nation but our own.
Exactly. And so it's definitely time out for that. Unity is definitely
it's a must.
It seems to be the topic that's starting to resonate with our people. I've been hearing it a lot of different YouTubers, a lot of different organizations, a lot of I've been hearing a lot about it's time for our people to unify. So I think that something is changing in our people, and it's going to happen. I don't care what anybody try and do. It's going to happen.
Yeah, exactly. Crab in the barrel mentality. We're forming a group here, especially since we have more people in the country. We're organizers by profession. A lot of people don't understand organization and understand the role it plays in our development as a people. You know what I'm saying? Like they really don't understand it. And the reason these people that's coming here are prospering past us, we're complaining about the Chinese, we're complaining about the European, we're complaining about the Arab, Lebanese, but they're out organizing us while we're fighting.
Right.
While we're fighting. So it's crazy to me. We're always the ones on the table, at the table that's like, hey, let's come together and do this. It's enough of us now. It's enough of us here now. Before it was just me and my husband, doing everything and setting the pace and setting the road for a lot of what you see happening today, including the citizenship, things like that. We were the first to come to the table, and it's crazy that people will want to deny you your legacy, deny you your involvement. It's crazy. Somebody asked the African ancestry kit. That was a question? Just
they were asking how long does it take for someone to receive their African ancestry testing kit?
I have never received one, so I don't know by experience, but I know quite a few who has. Sometimes it can take maybe 2 weeks, and I do know it can take up to 2-3 months to come back. So I know people that's just waiting for theirs, and I don't know if it's something like some type of backlogging. I don't know if it's some, why it can take up to that time, but maybe they have a tests to process and things like that. So it will take up to 2 to 3 months to receive back once you take the test.
Right. Gotcha. I just wanted to say something. When you were talking about how we need to organize, it's so funny, like how you said earlier that we were stripped of being here, stripped of the family, stripped of knowing who we were. But it's funny because these other nations who took us, the way they organized and formed the things they did, they came to Africa and they watched us. They learned it from us. And then they removed us so they could unteach it from us.
Right.
Yep, exactly. You know that they watched the plantation system, how ancestors were organized on the plantation, and modeled the whole working system after that. So when you say I'm on the plantation, that's like figuratively speaking. That's just like literally speaking. You know, the plant, and things like that. It's really modeled after our people, after the system. The whole capitalist system was built after back of our ancestors. That system was not there until after they enslaved us. So this is the system that everybody is working off of now. You know, this whole me, myself, and I, this clique over here, this clique over there, we all like them, or we like them, or things like that. It's so like high schoolish type of thing. And that's the thing that we want to get. We want to leave that part of us there. Don't come
they can have that.
You don't come here with that funk on you.
Right.
That there. Leave that there, because that's the last thing they need to see us doing amongst ourselves. And they coming and they bringing us back. They are welcoming us back, and they want replace the people that been exploiting us and treating our people bad. And if we got our minds right, we're the best development partners in the world. We got all the skills that we need, all the resources that everything is there.
Right. It's definitely true. And that's why I say our people have to come over here and be willing to learn as well, because learning how to handle confrontation is very important. It's something that we weren't trained to do. We're just trained to, I don't like what you did. I'm angry with you, so I'm not going to speak to you anymore. Don't look my way. And it's like, instead of trying to talk it out and find out, because most of the times it's misunderstandings, or if somebody don't have all the information. Right. So, it's important for our people to have that mindset to come over here and sit and learn as well, because they still doing it here. And so for us to unite, we do have to take a step back and look and be like, okay,
And it's true. I've been privileged. I've had the privilege of seeing it in many different forms. And and that's one of the things that we do amongst our organization. We're the Gullah Nation of North America, our organization, but we are a community first. We were a community before we actually registered the entity. So we do have a council of elders, that help assist us when we have issues amongst ourselves, so that we're not going out spreading slander, rumor. If you have a grievance within the organization, you can write your grievance. The elders council will take it up to try to see if we can come to a reconciliation. That's the goal at the end of the day anyways. That should be the goal amongst our people. Black people, we're not enemies. We're brothers and sisters. We're siblings. The people that's outside of our community, maybe we can, maybe we can perceive them as such, not ourselves.
Right.
So have people that can step up to that task. And I'll say this, eldership is not just about solely based on age. Because we do have, within our organizations, we have junior elders and chief elders. So we have a junior elder that's been around, that has enough, that has proven themselves to be trustworthy and fair, and that can see something presented to them and be able to make a sound decision amongst the elders. So we have something called elders, elders and olders. Just because they
Yeah.
got age on them doesn't mean that they're fit to be an elder. You know,
We agree.
it's a difference. Yeah,
Yes.
it's a difference. So we do have those things, but our communities thrive to do whatever it will take to come back to balance and push the mission forward. You know,
Yeah.
if I did anything wrong, and I apologize to you, okay. And if you know that you did something wrong, you can apologize to me, and we can move forward.
Right.
You know,
Right.
but a lot of people are bullheaded and things like that, and prideful, ego. A lot of things come into context when those things happen, and so you just got to understand them. You know, understand people where they are, and hope to come full circle and do what it is that we need to do at the end of the day.
Right.
Gotcha.
Definitely. No, Baba, I didn't want it for you.
That's our Tanzanian Baba, which means father.
Yeah. He put the message there. I don't see what he said.
It was just what I said.
Yeah. So Binti means daughter. Binti is Swahili for daughter. And so he was talking to her.
Okay, I get it.
So we're gonna get ready to wrap up here. We got a couple more questions. So for the diaspora, for anyone who wants to repatriate to Sierra Leone, I just want to know what are some of the areas as far as a gap in the market there? What gaps are there as far as businesses for the diaspora? What's needed in Sierra Leone?
Everything. This place is wide open. Any business that you would think that you can put any place that can be successful, you can put it here in Sierra Leone. This is right ground. It's been through a lot. The rich history. We had a civil war for 11 years before, and we're back to ourselves now, and know that there needs to be some more development here. So anything that you could think of, like I said earlier, I need to create a restaurant, because I can cook really well. And as I said, we don't have enough restaurants, especially with people that's coming from the West that wants, there's a lot of African type food here. You can find that, but a lot of people get like, after a few days, they be like, show me the burger,
I need some lemon pepper wings.
I know, man, I do too. So places like, hospitality, restaurant. There's a sister I know here, her and her husband, he's Sierra Leone and she's Black American. They have an Airbnb here. Things of that sort, but anything you can think of, we need, internet cafes. That'll be awesome amongst the people here that needs to have access to, computers to do their, resumes and things like that. So that's one thing that I have not been seeing around here too much. They were all over the place when I first came here in 2015. So yeah, I will say things like that, the hospitality area, food, actually taking food here, repackaging it, selling it over, to Americans and things like that, or local, local people here, they need their, nutrition. They have a limited amount of agriculture here. You'll see the same agriculture everywhere. You'll have to go to like an international market to find something like a bell pepper or something like some broccoli. You know what I'm saying? Things like that. When I was here, I believe 2017, some people that was here from America actually found some broccoli. It's so crazy, y'all. They found some broccoli and paid like almost like $20 for like a whole head of broccoli just because it was broccoli and they hadn't had it, you know. So they paid that money just for some broccoli.
Wow.
Everybody
I want broccoli that bad.
listen, it went off the shelf fast. They made a call, hey, they got broccoli, you know what I'm saying?
Wow.
True story. This is a true story, man.
Wow.
So yeah, I would say the sky is the limit here. The sky is the limit.
And how's the school system out there
for people bringing their kids?
So there is a few international schools here, like the British International School, the American International School. But as far as like African-centered schools, you might not find them here unless you're tutoring your own child or having a private tutor. You know, a lot of times, as I told you, I used to be in broadcasting. Used to be in radio behind the scenes though. But we used to have a homeschooling show that would teach the parents how to, and you know, have a lot of different educators on the platform that had independent African schools and things like that. So to have that here in Sierra, that would be a game changer. And that's something that we actually want to see manifest. That's one of the dreams that we have, not just for our children that's coming back, all African children. All African children need to know and see themselves as kings and queens and the royalty that we are. If anybody know about the heritage of Sierra Leone, majority of the tribes here in Sierra Leone are migrants from the Mali Empire. And a lot of people would understand that our people that was taken it out and exiled from Africa to America was from the Mali Empire. They dismantled the Mali Empire in order to take down the Mansa. You know, so this is the truth. The Mansa of Mali was the richest, most powerful person in the world. We dominated the world's gold trade. Our people was up in Spain and Portugal, ruling those people, teaching them how to wash and be clean and, you know, and things like that. So if you understand the relationship that the world had with Africans, you can't deny it. They will try to rewrite history and things like that, but you know, the truth is the truth.
Yeah, you're right on that. The truth is the truth. And you know, and everybody knows Africans taught people who used to live in caves, who used to crawl on all fours, how to stand up straight and take a bath. Well, I ain't gonna put their names out there.
There you have it.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
So
let me ask this
go
question.
ahead.
So as we're getting ready to close out, for anybody that wants to repatriate to Sierra Leone, what advice would you give them?
Have a plan. Like, change your mentality. Make up your mind that this is what it is that you want to do. Start investigating, learning the culture, forming relationships. And I said this before on another platform, join an organization. That way you're able to, you know, understand the culture through the work, not just by chatting with somebody or, you know, meeting somebody on Facebook and things like that. Yes, of course, but you'll understand how to work with the people through organization. And I was part of an organization for 3 years before I moved here. So when I came here, people knew my name. They understood who I was. We had worked together. We did programs and projects together. We fed the communities. We cleaned the communities, you know, things like that. So that's something that you can't really buy. That's not something that you can't buy. And it's a communal exchange. You understand? There's a community exchange. So they're understanding you as a person, not just as a Black American, quote unquote, not just as an American. You know, they're understanding who you are, that you care for the people as they care for themselves.
Right.
So I'll say that plan first, save first, understand what it will cost to be there, what you can do if you're living here permanently and you're living here partially, understand what it will take for that, you know, and things like that. Just understand what you're getting into. You can't be prepared for everything, but some things you can be prepared for. You know, build those relationships, you know, not destroy them, but build them.
Right.
That's what happened to my husband. He was able to build a relationship for 7 years and come here, you know. So yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So first, before we close out, Kenya, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule. I know you're a busy woman. You have a lot of things on your plate. And when I tell y'all that this young lady is a busy woman, we've been trying to get this interview for a couple weeks now, but she's a busy woman. But it's a good thing because she does not have the mentality of the crabs in the barrel. She is on the continent putting in the work for the diaspora. And, you know, she's not just helping the Gullah Geechee, she's helping all diaspora that want to come to Sierra Leone. Yes. So please, listen, Kenya, let them know how they can contact you. Let those people know how they can contact you.
Yeah, so when the time we were supposed to have our interview before, I was traveling to do a naming ceremony with, two couples that repatriated here. So you had the chance to, you know, take them to my village, lead me to cheese, be accepted by the dancers, and we spent a little time out up there. So I'm grateful that you were able to understand and push the interview back for me. So So I do thank you guys for allowing me on your platform. For those who want to get in contact with me on social media, I'm gonna really get back on my social media bag because I fell off. But you can find me on Facebook. I'm at Malinke Mansaray with an E at the end. So you can find me on there, or the same name on my like page, Kenya Malinke Mansaray. You can also find me on what is it called? IG under the same name, Kenya Malinke Mansaray, and follow me there. If you want to go to our website, we do offer, you know, consultations and things like that. If you want to repatriate, visit, etc., you can go to gulladugu.com. It's GULLAHDUGU.com. If you want to join our organization, you can do that by emailing us at GNONA, GNONA registry at gmail.com. You can email us there or message me if you're interested in joining either the Gullah Geechee organization, our Pan-African organization, or the UNIA-ACL. You're welcome to join all. As long as you're African, you can join.
Gotcha. And all that information will be in the description box of this video also. Okay. So okay. I'll make sure all that is down in the description box so they can contact you. Yes. You have anything, love?
I'm thankful for you being on here because it helps us. Because our desire, our goal is to help all of our people who want to come to get here, because we know now is the time for our people to come back. Things ain't getting no better in the West. They're not going to get any better. They're just going to get worse. And so it's time for our people to come home. So we do interviews like this with African Americans who have already repatriated to the continent, who are helping other African Americans to repatriate. And we also look for countries that sometimes, you know, are a little easier to transition to. So interviews like this are very important for us, even for people who want to know more about their ancestry, if they have traced their lineage back to the Gullah Geechee people or Sierra Leone. we just want our people to come back.
Yes.
We want to
Give them every
resource that we can possibly have to make that transition easier for them. And we know that, like we said, the West Coast is a little easier right now, but I do believe all over Africa, eventually it will be easier because this is all our land.
Right.
It is.
And so I'm thankful that you were able to come on and share all the information that you were able to share with us, because it's much needed. And I'm thankful for the work that you guys are doing there to help our people to transition back. And we look forward to seeing some more of the projects that you guys have going on, because that's something we want to do, is showcase what our people are doing.
Yes.
You know, so we'll be in touch with you, that, you know, we can put something together where we can showcase not just Sierra Leone, but in Senegal, all over, projects that our people are doing.
Right.
That is impacting the different African countries.
Yes.
Yes.
So,
Absolutely.
yeah, go ahead.
No, I'm saying absolutely. I agree. Much more showcasing, much more visibility. This is my first interview of 2023. 2023 is my year. My birthday is 2/23. You know, so I'm excited about just this year in totality. And thank you guys for allowing me to be on your platform.
Yes,
not a problem. All right, we're gonna put you in the background for a minute. All right. All right, family. Thank you guys so much for joining us. I know for me, that was some great information that I got. And I pray that the information was what you needed. For those of you who are looking at Sierra Leone, please, please, please reach out to our dear sister Kenya and her husband. They are definitely doing the work on the continent.
Right. And just, you guys know that we do this because we want you guys to have an easy transition to the continent. So like we always say, pray and just find out where, you know, Abba is leading you. And if you don't know, and you just know that you want to come to the continent and you do have the green light to come on, we're giving you countries where it's an easy transition for you, where it's not a lot of money for you to transition there. It's not a lot of money to get residency. It's not a lot of money to start businesses, because we know that's been one of the reoccurring questions and issues that we have heard with people repatriating, because not every country is the same. And so unfortunately, a lot of the East African countries make it a bit more difficult to repatriate. Now, I'm not going to tell you not to repatriate, because we have to go where we're led, because somebody has to start in East Africa for it to get easier for our people. So these countries, it's pretty easy. And so we want you guys to be comfortable, to be confident, and knowing that we're here. There are many other diaspora here. This is where our Father is leading us back to our homeland, where we were taken from. Right. Okay.
Forcibly.
Right. So, and don't worry, you know, he's taking care of his people. You know, just if you have heard the call to leave, whether it be the U.S., whether it be the islands, whether it be the UK, Netherlands, wherever it is, leave. Right. Leave. You know, it's time for our people to unite, to show what the Most High has placed inside of us. You guys know the saying, united we stand, divided we fall. The only way for things to change is by us uniting. And it's only going to take the Father to unite our hearts. But I believe the season is upon us now, where he's doing something different inside of his people. And he's going to be the one to change our hearts, to make us able to unite with one another. So let us all keep focusing on him, keep praying and fasting for him to unite our people.
Yes. And I just want to take a quick minute to thank everybody that has been supporting us, that has been sending us emails of encouragement, sending us text messages on WhatsApp of encouragement. You guys don't know how much that means to us, because I'm pretty sure our sister Kenya could tell you that coming over here, this is not an easy walk. And, but we're in it for the long haul. It means a lot to us to give you guys all this information. So I'm going to ask you guys to do us a favor. Please like this video, please comment, and please share the video, because we need to get this out there. 2023 is the year we unite and come together as a nation, as a people, to fulfill the mandate. That is 2023. We're going to fulfill the mandate to come together, to unite, and for our people to come home. So love y'all. Thank you. And we'll see y'all again next week.
Shalom.
Shalom, family.